Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here quickly talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation on Android with Mikage. And Mikage just released a brand new YouTube short showing Super Mario 3D Land in action. Notably here, aside from the game running pretty well, there are a couple of graphical glitches and also some audio hiccups. I've watched this short a few times and the graphical glitches seem to happen when there's a transition in scene. It's worth pointing out that the developer for Mikage isn't just focused on emulating gameplay, they're focused on emulating the entire system, as you can see here with the main menu for the 3DS. I'll drop a link to the short in the description below and let me know your thoughts about it. Now, unfortunately, Mikage is not available to the public yet for testing. There are no public builds. But speaking about public builds, next up here we're talking about Sonic Drift 16-bit. And there's a brand new demo available with 3 tracks and 7 characters. Now this is a re-imaging of the original Sonic Drift that was released back in 1994, and this new Sonic Drift 16-bit demo is available for PC. If you are curious about this one, you can learn more about it on GameJolt. I'll drop a link in the description below. They say here it's got revamped race courses, an enhanced arsenal, the gameplay is faster, and even more. Moving on, and we're talking a little bit about Linux now, specifically Lubuntu. Lubuntu 24.04 is the upcoming LTS release, and it's got some very interesting stuff in it. So according to this blog post, which I will link below, there's a brand new customize menu in the installer, and it gives you 3 different install options. The full installation, which includes a whole bunch of software, including stuff like Thunderbird and Virtual Machine Manager. The normal installation, which I think most people will choose, it's just a standard version of Lubuntu. And minimal installation, which doesn't really include a whole lot, not even snapped. On top of that, they're going to have some optional themes. They're working on a brand new power management UX and even more. As for Wayland, it will ship with an optional Wayland session, although Xorg, as far as I know, is being supported until 2026. And continuing to talk about Linux, next up here we're talking about Proton, specifically Proton Experimental, and there's a brand new version of Proton Experimental that, in my opinion, starts to separate the 2 different versions of the Steam Deck. The Steam Deck OLED is starting to really show its colors here. There's an update that made HDR options available in Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Injustice 2 on capable hardware, including the Steam Deck OLED. Now, if you don't play those games, you probably don't care at this point, but moving forward, I'm certain there's going to be more games with HDR options that are supported by the Steam Deck OLED. Anyways, moving forward from that, they've also fixed multiplayer in Dirt Rally. They fixed more memory leaks in Final Fantasy XIV with the launcher, and even more. Next up, we're still talking about Linux and something super related to Proton. We're talking about w.i.n.e. w.i.n.e. stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or w.i.n.e. is not an emulator, depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, w.i.n.e. just released 9.0 release candidate 1. As with most w.i.n.e. releases, there's a whole bunch of bug fixes here, including graphical fixes for Need for Speed Most Wanted and Castlevania Lords of the Shadow 2. And they've also fixed Crimson Skies that would freeze in the menu. And speaking about graphics, next up here we're talking about a very interesting ROM hack for the NES. It's for Final Fantasy. This ROM hack adds Tifa, Rinoa, Terra, Riku, and Maria to the game. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you think it's cool? Do you like lore-breaking ROM hacks? Or are you completely against stuff like this? And speaking about lore-breaking, next up we're talking about Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero. This game was just unveiled at the Game Awards, and people are already concerned. Looking at the game description here, it might not have local multiplayer. I am seriously hoping that this is some sort of miscommunication, but it's saying it in a whole bunch of different places, including PlayStation and Steam, and even right on their own website. It says it supports single player, offline, and multiplayer, online. Now, if this game does not have local multiplayer, in terms of support here from the fighting game community, it's going to be pretty limited. Probably just online competitions, and that's about it. Forget in-person tournaments. I am looking forward to this game. It does look very similar to a whole bunch of other Dragon Ball games, but at the same time here, I'm a massive fan of Dragon Ball. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And last up here, we're talking about Modern Vintage Gamer, who just released his list of best emulators of 2023. I'll drop a link to the video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. MVG is very knowledgeable, and this list is pretty good. Do I agree with all of it? Yes and no. I do think that these should be on the list. However, I also think there should be more on the list. For example, Yuzu and Ryujinx. Ryujinx is also an awesome Switch emulator. On top of that, I'd be throwing in emulators like MGBA, Dolphin, and even more. My list would be pretty darn big. Anyways, here I do recommend checking out the video. It is a very good video and he's got some great insights. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.